Hey everyone, it's ActuallyJebBush, and welcome back to another episode of SoRare Steals. In each of these videos, we go ahead and take a look at an NBA team and try to pick out some players that we think are undervalued in terms of the full NBA season. We are specifically looking for players that we think over the course of the season have a chance of getting a massive increase in minutes and usage. Whether that's because of an injury, because of a trade, a team trying to tank, or a team that we think is pushing to try and secure a playoff spot. There are a lot of situations where players who currently might not have a lot of value in the SoRare meta will be extremely valuable later on. And we want to find those players and purchase them right now at the lows so we can either build optimal lineups or sell them for a profit. Now, before we take a look at these players, if you're super into DFS or the NBA and you don't have an NBA SoRare account, you can click the link right here or in the description below and use that to create an NBA SoRare account. By using this link, you'll get 20 free common cards, which you can compete in all the common contests for free. And if you're really enjoying SoRare NBA and you want to maybe purchase a couple limited cards so you can control your lineup more, if you purchase 5 limited cards on the live auction marketplace, you will get a sixth one for free, but that is only when you create an account using the link below. Finally, if you could take a second to hit that like button and just make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, it's something super easy you can do that really goes a long way into helping me out as I make these videos during my free time. All right, and now with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at the SoRare Steals for the Golden State Warriors. All right, so as always, we're here on SoRare Data, and I have the Warriors roster pulled up. Now, unlike a lot of the teams that we've looked at already and that we'll continue to look at, the Warriors are an interesting situation where I think a lot of their players, regardless of their role, are kind of inflated in value. So, with that in mind, while we talk about these players, I think it's important to try and find similar comparisons from other teams and just see where the prices fall because I think, 9 times out of 10, it makes more sense to buy a different player from a different team who has a similar cap and a similar role. Additionally, right now, Steph Curry is injured and Wiggins is injured, which is two of their starters with very high usage who do a lot of scoring. So, as a result, a lot of these players, for example, like a Jordan Poole, are even more inflated in price because their usage is off the charts. Jordan Poole is starting and he pretty much has the green light to shoot whenever he wants because he's filling that Curry role. So, with all that being said, I don't personally think there's really necessarily any players on the Warriors that you should go out and buy right now. So, we're going to be talking about players on this team that you should be watching. And, when Curry comes back, when Wiggins comes back, when some of these players take a dip, their cap goes down, their usage goes back down to earth a bit, what we should normally expect from them, and people sell off as a result. The auctions don't go for as high. That's when maybe you should look to purchase some of these players. But right now, I just wouldn't necessarily go and try to buy any of these guys at this very, very moment. All right. That was a lot of talking, but now we're going to get to the actual list. And the first person we're going to take a look at is Andrew Wiggins. Now, Andrew Wiggins is currently injured and has been injured for a little bit. However, if we take a look at his stats, we can see they're pretty solid, including, 1.5 steals, a block every other game. He's putting up 20 points per game and 4 or 5 rebounds. And he has a cap of 33 right now. Now, if we go ahead and take a look at his price chart, we can see that, there's been a little bump here, a little dip here, a little bump here. But for the most part, Andrew Wiggins has been pretty even keeled across the board without any very big spikes or very big dips. And you can see even here with the injury, we really haven't seen him go down in value whatsoever. With that being said, I do think $27 for Andrew Wiggins is a pretty decent price. Now, like I said, I wouldn't necessarily go buying him right this instant, but I think he's a player that is worth watching. He is the second best player on the Warriors. He is a two-way player who can score you so rare points on the defensive end as well as the offensive end. He's been shooting from three much better than last year. And big picture, not that you should be buying players for the playoffs because they're so far away, but Wiggins played a very crucial part in the Warriors championship last year. And if they have any chance to make a playoff run, he's going to have to play a big part this year. And that includes the regular season in terms of winning enough games. So I just think there's a lot of reasons for Andrew Wiggins to have some pretty high upside. Let's go ahead and take a look at his scores real quick. Now we can see on this chart kind of what we were saying before. I mean, first of all, ending the year high when you compare it to earlier, ending the year on a very high note for him. But then also we can see, 50s and 48s, 50s, 49, and a 60 even here. Like we said, when Andrew Wiggins is playing, he does have a high ceiling. And if he's going to be playing and Clay is sitting or Jordan Poole is sitting or some of these high usage players where they instantly shoot as soon as they get the ball, it's going to increase Wiggins' usage and that potential to far out exceed his cap. So I don't think there's too much more to say here. We all know Andrew Wiggins is very good. We know he's the second best player on the team and has a high ceiling. And I think he's a player that's just worth watching. Maybe if he dips to 20, a little below 20, then he's someone you should definitely consider scooping. Not even a terrible price right now. I'm just definitely not rushing out to grab him because I do think there are better plays at this, like 28 to 30 price range. All right. Now, after Wiggins, the next player on my list, we have to scroll down a bit for, and that person is James Wiseman. Now, Wiseman is a very interesting situation for quite a few reasons. One being, the start of a season was nothing like the Warriors wanted it to be. People thought Wiseman was going to come out this year and dominate, and he did the exact opposite. So much so that the Warriors had to send him back down to the G League. That's not a necessarily great sign. Additionally, there's a lot of rumors that the Warriors are really looking to trade for a player like a Jakob Poeltl. And, if Jakob Poeltl gets traded to the Warriors, his price goes up, his value goes up, and Wiseman gets pushed down. So this 11.59 price probably goes down to like a 5, 6, even maybe even lower, because Wiseman suddenly might not be getting any playing time, and Looney might be the main backup. It's a weird situation right now where the Warriors want to win now, but they also need to develop these young players, and you can kind of see this inconsistency in Wiseman's price chart. We can see starting off, he was going for, like $20 because people thought he was going to really pop off this year. And then absolute moonshot to start, getting up to 32, dips all the way back down, another spike here, another spike here, and another spike here. Now we can see that those spikes are kind of shrinking, and I think a big part of that is the circulation. There's more limited Wisemans out there, and every time there's news like him coming back, him having a good game, him starting, him getting more minutes or whatever else, there's less and less people that want to take that risk on Wiseman after they've maybe already been burned. But I do think Wiseman is a very interesting player to watch. Not only because, he could really turn it around in the second half of the season and start dominating like everyone initially thought he would, but there's that chance that someone trades for Wiseman. If the Spurs are going to send over Jakob Poeltl, they're not going to just take crumbs. They're going to demand assets, and Wiseman is an asset. There are a lot of teams that before the season would have paid through the roof for him. And when you have a team like the Spurs, who have such a great organization and are good at developing players, if they can get Wiseman for a discount, why not trade for him? So I don't know if that makes Wiseman more valuable than this $12 floor, or less valuable, but I do think it makes him worth watching and just really seeing where we think he's going to go. So let's take a look at his scores real quick. As you can see, not much to report about, but against the Nets, he put up a 42. And with a cap of 11, obviously that's a pretty incredible outperformance. Now, is this just an outlier that we're not going to see again because of a couple different possibilities? You know, him getting pushed down on the roster, like we said, him getting traded, him getting put down back down to the G League, him getting injured as he's struggled with injuries a bit. But if we take a look at the score, I think it's worth looking at just because it's so out there compared to the rest of his scores. You know, we can see he had 6 rebounds, 30 points. He made a 3. He had a block, 1 turnover only, which is really cool to see, and stayed out of foul trouble. So, I mean, him being able to put that up shows that potential that all these people thought he had at the beginning of the season. But there's way too much uncertainty to say that Wiseman is a must buy, or even close to a must buy. He could be the exact opposite, because when he got sent down to the G League, I don't think anyone was rushing out to buy a Wiseman. So I would say I think Wiseman is a super interesting watch. You should be following him closely, following the Warriors in general closely, because their situation is particularly interesting and I think provides a lot of potential for some really juicy optimal plays in the future if you're paying attention now. All right, so there's one more player that I want to take a look at more in depth, but I do think it's worth mentioning real quick that a player like Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, uh, Jordan Poole, Dante DiVincenzo are all players that are worth following. Definitely not really worth picking up right now because they directly benefit from Steph Curry being out in terms of minutes and usage. But I mean, these are, especially Kuminga and Moody, these are 2 players that, once again, like Wiseman, in the similar vein, we were told have like incredible potential, could take a massive leap this year, and they haven't yet. But as a result, you know, when Curry comes back and their prices probably take a little bit of a hit as their numbers are even lower than their unimpressive numbers now, you know, they might be worth picking up because, you know, post All-Star break, we might see one of these 2 really step up and start to perform at a level that the Warriors were convinced they were going to perform at this whole season. So I just wanted to mention them. I really don't think it's even worth taking a deeper look at these 2 in particular, and especially not Poole or DiVincenzo. But I highly encourage you to do some of your own research and maybe follow these guys and just watch their prices, watch their performance, and see what you think. But the last player I want to take a look at more in depth is actually Draymond Green. All right, so if you know anything about me, you know that I despise Draymond Green. I think he's a bit of a clown, and I do think he's a bit overrated because, you know, he just fits very well into the Warrior system, and his weaknesses are compensated because he's playing with 2 of the greatest shooters of all time. With that being said, I do think he's a bit undervalued right now. Not because, I mean, Draymond Green is a walking triple single. This man is not going to drop 30 points or put up 20 and 20 or anything crazy like that. And once again, this price is, like I said at the beginning, I think is a little inflated. Definitely, this is not financial advice in general, but it's not financial advice to go buy him right now by any means. And we can take a look at his price chart and we can kind of see that, you know, he already had this bump before he was all the way down to close to 10, which is a price that I would be a little more comfortable purchasing him at. But anyways, looking at Draymond, he has a cap of 23, which is not great considering his typical performances. But, you know, he is a great defensive player. He can put up some high defensive stats. And he's a lot of times he's the one that's handing the ball off to a Jordan Poole or a Steph Curry or a Klay Thompson, getting that assist as they hit a 3. And you want to be able to, you know, if you don't have the money to get a Steph Curry as your MVP, having someone who is attached to him, grabbing all those assists and the points that correlate with that is not the worst. Is not the worst move. So, like I said, I would try to buy Draymond closer to $10 or maybe even a lower than that. Definitely not worth the 18 in my opinion right now, or the up to 25 that some people were paying. Maybe it's before this last lock we had. So let's take a look at his scores. As you can see, um, he can put up some stinkers. A -4 here, which is really bad. I think he maybe might have been ejected that game. I don't know off the top of my head, but that's another thing with Draymond is he is very inconsistent, and that will be beneficial for his cap, but be a detriment to your lineups more often than not. But like I said, we can see these high 40 games from him. If we take a look at this most recent one, we can see he did it on only scoring 3 points. And I think that's the key with Draymond. The points he puts up are the gravy on top. So, specifically, if you're trying to squeeze Draymond into a specialized lineup, like an all defensive lineup, you know, this is a great play because he's going to get those boards. He's going to get those blocks and steals. Yeah, I mean, I personally would never buy Draymond or play Draymond, I don't think. I just don't think it's worth the risk for my lineups when there's better plays. Kind of what we talked about with a lot of the Warriors here, but I do think he's someone that is worth watching. And, if he gets below $10, someone that might be worth scooping up for playoffs, for specialized types of lineups, like I said, an all defensive lineup or maybe some sort of underdog lineup, because this inconsistency is going to lower his cap. And there's going to be weeks where playing Draymond is an optimal move. And that's what we're looking for, is players that will be considered optimal that otherwise might be considered worthless. And I think Draymond is a great example of that. As we can see, like we said, we see these spikes. That's an indication of everyone thinking that, hey, this is an optimal play. I need to have Draymond this week. And those are the types of players we want to be targeting and buying when they're at their lows. So yeah, like I said, once again, I would not be trying to pick up Draymond above $10, but he's a player that I think is worth watching and has a very interesting and particular situation. And also, real quick, just to throw it out there, it's not entirely impossible that he gets traded to a bad team that's looking for assets, and he's that salary filler. And if Draymond gets traded, he could be in a situation where he's putting up much bigger stats, empty stats on a bad team. So for that reason, also, I think Draymond's just a very interesting watch. And scooping him up at below $10 seems like a decent move for the duration of the season. All right, and I think we're going to stop there. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out this video. Like I said before, if you could make sure to smash that like button and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Something super easy you can do that really helps me out, as I make these videos in my free time and am trying to get them out as fast as possible. If you found this video helpful at all, feel free to go and check out the other SoRare Steals videos I made. Thanks once again for watching, and join me next time as we take a look at the SoRare Steals for the Houston Rockets. Please clap.